Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Qwen Image 2512. This is a major update for the Qwen Image series, and it is part of the text-to-image model. What you're seeing here on the screen is what you will be able to do with this model. As you can see, we have multiple layers in this image, but I was able to generate this image using just one prompt. Let's take a look at the model card here. This is the Qwen Image Edit 2512. There are a couple of key improvements to this version, mainly about the enhanced human realism. So basically, it's reducing the AI look appearance and improving the realism when it comes to human subject. There's also finer natural detail, basically means improving the detail when it comes to rendering landscape, animal fur, and other textures. There's also an improvement when it comes to text rendering in terms of the accuracy, layout, multimodal, text plus image, and then the composition itself. As you go through the model card, you will see a section for showcase, and you will be able to see the examples here. They also posted this AI Arena model evaluation. Qwen Image 2512 is at 4th position. This is the ELO leaderboard that you can find on AI Arena. Now, text prompt is very standard. It's going to be natural language, and you're going to describe everything one at a time. Now we see something that we haven't seen in a while, and that is negative prompt. The aspect ratio are like this, and doing a quick calculation here, you can see that the megapixel maximum that you will be able to use will be at 1.6. All right, then at the bottom we have the showcases where they have a very descriptive prompt, and you can see the before and after. This is the original one, the left side, and the right side is the enhanced 2512 version. So in terms of the facial detail, we can really see that we have that natural skin compared to that AI look from the left side. It's another one where we have anime in the back plus a realistic person in the front. So you can have these two contrasting style as well. We can see that the background as well get enhanced in the 2512 compared to the Qwen Image version. Qwen Image was a good model, but the 2512 update is even better. Now here they showcase the natural detail. This one showcases the fur, and then they move on to showcasing the text rendering. Now of course I've generated a couple of images myself. Let's take a look at a prompt I've used. This is a close-up portrait of a 72-year-old woman, and I'm not going to read everything. You can pause and read at your own time. What I would like you to pay attention to are the words I've underlined. So natural wrinkle, that's going to showcase the realism in the facial detail. Then we have silver gray hair pulled loosely. Then we have the warm light that is coming through the window, a shallow depth of field, natural color grading, no plastic skin. So before we go into the Qwen Image, I would like to showcase this Z Image Turbo. This is at 9 steps. As you can see, the person herself, she is well detailed. We have really nice detail in the skin, the wrinkle. Hair, I would say, is neatly done. It's not the messy type that I was going for. Here we have light coming in, but it's not the right color. And this is what the Qwen Image 2512 is doing. So we have two versions. The left side is at 50 steps. The right side here is at 4 steps. Now, as you can see, the left side, the 50 steps one, is way better compared to the 4 steps version. Now in the 4 steps, I feel like we still have that AI look. Feels like it's oversaturated and it's over sharpened compared to the 50 steps. If you take a look at this really looks like an old woman, a 72-year-old woman. We have really nice wrinkles. Take a look at the outside here, the outline of the chin and then the cheek. You can see individual hair that is showcasing. That is amazing detail. Take a look at the hair. You can see here we have loose hair all over, and we can clearly see it. There is this warm light that is coming through the window. 4 steps as well, it was able to get all the elements. It just feels a little bit over sharpened compared to the left side. All right, in terms of performance for this, the 50 steps just to do the inference steps, it takes 4 minutes for me. The 4 steps, 12 seconds. And if you compare this to the Z image at 9 steps, it's 19 seconds. Now, just for reference, these are my specs. So this is for CPU, this is the GPU. I have memory here. There's also a system info here with the NVIDIA SMI detail down below. There's the CUDA version. And in case you're wondering, this is my PyTorch that ComfyUI is using. You can pause and verify it. So if you have a similar setup to me, this is what you are looking at. If you have a better system, it's probably going to take 2 or maybe a minute, depending on how fast your GPU is. However, it is a 50 steps model in order to get that high quality here. So it is a slow model compared to the 9-step Z image turbo model. Okay, so just one more example about the natural skin detail. This is the 4-step version, and this is the 50-step version. Now in the 4-step, face here is in focus, but if you look at the neck area, we see that we have some artifacts in there. Now at the 50-step, those artifacts are corrected. Moving on to the finer natural detail, we have this here. Left side is 4 steps, right side is 50 steps. I've mentioned that there should be rain in the scene, and as you can see, there's rain in the scene. On the 4 steps one, the fur is not as wet as it's supposed to be, compared to the 50 steps where you can clearly see that the fur is wet here. I've also wanted to test the dynamic poses. Left side is 4 steps, the right side is 50 steps. They are both pretty good in terms of the dynamic pose. I would say the right side is slightly better when it comes to the face, the hair, compared to this one, which has that hint of AI look, especially if you look here. This is more dynamic. As you can see, the stretch on the leg compared to this one, but if they were not side by side, they are pretty good. Now notice how the right side, which is the 50 steps, has more detail in the background compared to the left side. And this is a trend that I've seen in all the 4 steps. Now, of course, you can do fashion. Once again, you can see in the background here, we have more detail compared to this one, even though it's the same prompt. Otherwise, they are both pretty much, they captured everything that I wanted to see in the image. So you can do that fashion magazine type of image generation. Let's take a look at natural one again. Now this one is kind of confusing at first. So if I zoom out, you would probably think that, hey, this one has more details, so this should be 50 steps. But if we zoom in, you can see that this has that AI look is still with it. Water here was not rendered like a realistic water compared to this one, which clearly is way better. Now let's talk about text rendering. Whether you use the 4 steps or the 50 steps, they can both do text really well. So the human circulatory system, this is the 4 steps one, and this one here is the 50 step version. Now we can see the 50 step has more detail, where we have 9 grids in there compared to only 3 grids. I mentioned grid, I did not mention the count of the grids. It feels like the 50 step tend to add more detail, even if it's not mentioned in the prompt. The point is not to generate realistic section of the human anatomy, but it's for the text that you can paste or overlay on complex images. Left side here is 4 steps, right side is the 50 steps. And once again, you can see the 4 steps generated the text correct. We have AI development roadmap. 50 steps got the 2025 to 2030 correct. So clearly a mix-up happening. In the 4 steps here, we have foundational model, multimodal expansion, reasoning and agent deployment. And as you can see, same thing in here. It's just that the 50 steps tend to add extra, which I did not ask for, and try to add some explanation of what each one means at the bottom, but obviously rendered incorrectly. I've also tried doing text while being incorporated in the scene itself. The 4 steps one, I've noticed that the person isn't rendered correctly. There's also a duplication of moonlight that was trying to render, but it was not able to render correctly. I did ask for fresh brew open late. Now the 50 steps got it correct. As you can see, there's no mistake when it comes to rendering or duplication of rendering the moonlight. Now lastly, I've also tried doing this here where we have many people in the back and just one person in the front. When it comes to the skin and the person, the 50 steps is really well done compared to the 4 steps one. I think this did a really good job, both of them, in showcasing that crowded place. So my final evaluation of this model, when it comes to natural skin, facial detail, I think the 50 steps is way better. Same thing when it comes to the fur or hair or that final detail that you'll be going for. The 50 steps will always outperform the 4 steps one. But you can always use the 4 steps to experiment, try to get a feel of the layout that the model will generate for that specific seed and bump it to 50 steps to get more detail. So let's take a look at how to set this up inside of ComfyUI. Now I'm using the Windows Portable version. The first step that you'll have to do is to update your ComfyUI. So go inside update and then double click on update underscore ComfyUI.bat. If you have the standalone version or a manual installation, then you can do git pull to pull the latest changes. If you have the desktop version, then it should update automatically. Start your ComfyUI like you would normally do. Once ComfyUI is start, go into templates, and then at the top here you should have Qwen Image 2512. Click on it. It will tell you to download the models. Click on download and it will probably download and save in your downloads folder. Next, go back into your ComfyUI folder. Once again, I'm inside the Windows Portable, so I have to go inside ComfyUI, then go inside the models folder. Next, go inside the diffusion underscore models folder, and in this folder you will be pasting the Qwen Image 2512 version. Now going back to ComfyUI here, there are 2 versions of this model. There is the BF16 and the FP8 that you can download from this workflow, and it tells you here that use the BF16 only if you have enough VRAM. We'll have to get the VAE and the clip. So for that, I'm going to recommend going into the manager. In the manager, click on model manager. Once you're at this screen at the top here, search in Qwen and then download this one, Qwen Image VAE, and then the Qwen 2.5 VL7B. It will say FP8 or without the FP8, this one, which I did not download, is 7.5, while the FP8 scale version is only 3.75. When you click on install here, it will automatically place it in the correct folder, so you don't have to do anything. Now, additionally, you may want to download the 4-step LoRA, which will allow you to do 4 steps image generation. Go into the manager, model manager. At the top here, search for Qwen Image Lightning, like so. We have 4 steps and 8 steps. Always go for the version 2 as they are exactly the same size as version 1. So either choose the BF16 or the FP8 version. Once you've downloaded everything and all the models are in the correct folder, you can press R on your keyboard to reload the node definitions. And then you will see 2 sections in the workflow. The top section is going to be the 50 steps version, and then the bottom one is going to be for the 4 steps version. Of course, we have the note here in case you need to download or see where the models are going to be. There is the aspect ratio that you can use for this model. Remember, the maximum megapixel that you can go is 1.6, but if you go too high, you will start to see some artifacts, duplication as well. This is where you're going to paste your prompt. There's only the width, height that you can change. The number of seeds, that's going to be generated randomly. You can also fix it by changing the control before generate to fix. You can drag, select these nodes, and then click on this button here to unbypass and activate the nodes. The only difference here is that this one will be using the LoRA, the 4 steps one, and it will generate at 4 steps. If you need to make modification to this, then we'll click on this button here. This is going to be where you will select the load diffusion model. And as you can see, I'm using the FP8 version. If you have the BF16, click on the drop down, search for it, and then select it from here. The load clip and load VAE should be selected and should be correct, but just in case you have different naming convention or it's placed inside a subfolder, then you can click on the drop down and look for it here. Now, as you can see, the 50 steps version has access to negative prompt, and you can put your negative prompt in here. And because we are using a CFG of 4, the negative prompt will be encoded and passed over to the model. So if you are planning on using the 50 steps, I'm going to recommend you to click on the subgraph node. Also click on this button, which is to edit the widgets. On the right side here, you will get a menu where you can expose certain field. In the search bar here, search for text, and you will see 2 texts. The top one should be shown on node. This is the positive one, and then the hidden one will be negative prompt. Expose the hidden prompt as well, and in here you can put your negative prompt. Okay, let's talk about the 4 steps version. Once again, we are going to click on edit subgraph here, which will take us in. Now, the model load clip VA is same. What's changing here is that we have a load LoRA in between, and in here we are going to select the Qwen Image Lightning 4 steps. Once you've selected it, make sure that your number of steps is at 4 and CFG is at 1. When CFG is at 1, the negative prompt does not matter. If you're using the 8 steps version of the LoRA, then you can bump this to 8 steps in here. One last thing, when generating text with this model, I've noticed that if you have names which are not standard, then it's not able to generate or render that text correctly. In this case, it was not able to render its own name, Qwen, correctly. It rendered it using a U instead of W. But after trying multiple times, I was able to get a good render where it spelled it correctly. Alright, so thank you for watching until the very end. Happy New Year. I wish you and your family well wishes. Thank you for all the support these past years. Thank you for watching until the very end. Have a nice day. Take care. I will see you next time.